Pokemon artist, Berkey for Toby here. Thank you for clicking on my video. Welcome. I've always wanted a more kind of mature Pokemon story, one that takes the Pokemon world and turns it a little bit gritty. And as a little bit of a creative spirit myself, I like making things. On this channel alone, it's just a small expression of that kind of creativity and fanfiction, and I think we've all wanted to make our own Pokemon games. I've talked about what it'd be like if I was every type of different gym leader, a trial captain, my own evil team, which we've created a whole thing about, Team Snooze. The evil team that wants world domination in the morning, is minimum effort. We've even got onesies around it, which is pretty great. Thank you to anyone who's been buying these, by the way. Thank you. You're lovely. And one video I did a long time ago talked about my own new Pokemon region. What would that look like? What would the towns be about? And how would that be structured? And all the way back then, I talked about how at the north of the region, there was this great northern barricade of mountains, unpassable, and no one on the entire island has ever been north. This whole region exists sort of in a fog in the sea, so those who have arrived here are sort of lost from the rest of the world. It's a little bit detached, and this is the region where Team Snooze started, if you're following those videos. It's the region where Team Snooze would have heralded from. And yeah, I mean, just look at that upload date. That was years ago, and you've still no further to knowing what's north of those mountains. Well, today I tell you. Today I reveal it to you by telling you what my more mature, my more gritty Pokemon game would be like. And I'm not going to tell you right away. But the idea is, and hold on to your seatbelts, and hey, get creative with me in the comments. If there's an idea here you like, how would you adapt it? Or if you want to make a gritty region, what would that be about? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, this Pokemon story starts with you as an accomplished Pokemon trainer. You are someone who's already defeated a Pokemon League. So whether you actually played my fake region, which isn't possible, there's no fan game to do with it, but whether you were an adventurer in that fake region and you played the prequel, which is I guess what that video would be, or you've just played some other Pokemon game, then this is the Pokemon game for you. It starts telling a story about this region and about south of the mountain range, and that no one had ever traveled north, and those that do never returned. But as the region's most powerful Pokemon trainer and an explorer, you've decided that you're going to venture north through the impassable mountain range and make your way to see what's up there, what's in the north. You've left all of your Pokemon behind you at the Pokemon Lab because should you perish, you don't want your Pokemon to meet the same fate. And this is a great way of starting you off at the game without all of the Pokemon while still giving you a sense of status and power. You were a renowned Pokemon trainer. Now you were just a nomad, a traveler, searching through mountain passes, over kind of craggy cliffs, and ultimately finding yourself into a sea of sand, a desert. This is where the journey begins, just with a little cutscene talking about how, yeah, you've spent days, maybe even weeks, traveling, and your adventures, they started with the greenery of your region all around you, and that greenery turned into rock, and then eventually sand, and now you're out in the desert, and your journey begins with you so weak, about to pass out. Like I said, it's going to be more gritty, more mature, and that's okay though, because this is just the beginning of the story. Obviously, I'm not about to kill the main character in the first 2 seconds. You are in the desert, and on the horizon you see a mirage. What looks to be a giant building. Is this it? Are you the first traveler to make it north of the great mountain range that divided you from this other mysterious region? Are you about to finally discover what's out there? It doesn't matter. You've been traveling for weeks and days and you pass out. And when you open your eyes, you realize that you're being dragged through the sand. And this is where you choose your starting Pokemon. I like this idea that your eyes open and you catch a glimpse of a Pokemon, and if you don't like what you see, you close your eyes again, reopen them, and there's a different option there. And there's going to be a number of different Pokemon that you can start with. Gible, Trapinch, Larvitar, Sandile, Rhyhorn. There's a number of Pokemon that could live in the desert that are all 3-stage evolution lines that would make for good starter Pokemon here. So one of these is going to be your starter, and it's dragging you by the teeth through the desert. Is the desert literally eating you alive? No, it's dragging you towards the building that you thought you saw. When you wake up, you are inside an old, worn-out kind of metallic building. There's metal paneling on the ceiling and the floor, there's wiring. People clearly used to live here, but now there's sand all over the building, and there's lots of other Pokemon that are desert-dwelling Pokemon that have made refuge here. as you and your new partner Pokemon, let's say from my example, I'm going to go with Trapinch, because Flygon is known as the desert spirit. I like the idea that Trapinch is the canonical starter. You and Trapinch make your way through this base, and you battle with Cacnea and other desert Pokemon. You've kind of got this whole Ray from Star Wars searching through a fallen Star Destroyer, and there's sand and metal, and that's the environment. It's incredibly gritty. I mean, gritty's the theme you're going for. And you make your way through, and it's only at the end of this building that you find another person. Another person is there waiting for you, and you explain as the player character your story, that you're from this place south of the Great Mountain Range, and you then found yourself in a desert, and now you're wound up here, and there's this Pokemon beside your side, and this person that you're talking to is like, whoa, dude, that is a nut story. I was just here because this place actually holds some special significance to the people of my hometown. My grandparents came from here. It's now just an abandoned old base. You say this Pokemon is with you, and you and the Pokemon have formed a little bond, so you and your Trapinch, you're like, yeah, I guess this Trapinch is mine now. Cool. And they're going to give you a Pokeball, and they're going to give you a Pokeball so that you can catch the Trapinch, and they're going to give you some extra Pokeballs so that you can go and catch stuff in the base if you want. And then this person, your rival, who I don't have a name for, let's just call them Dusty, because I like that, it suits the region. Dusty is going to challenge you to a Pokemon battle. Dusty, if you couldn't tell, is your rival in these games. So you have a battle with your newfound rival, and you prove your strength by beating them. Hopefully you don't lose. I'm kind of thinking that Dusty has an Eevee. That's a generic rival Pokemon, we like that. Maybe if you win the battle, Dusty ends up with an Umbreon, but if you lose it, they end up with an Espeon or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, Dusty is like, look, you are clearly very, very dehydrated, and you've been out in the desert for a long, long time. Come with me to my hometown. I'll take you there. It's a place called Little Town, and much like this place, it's all made out of metal. It's this big metal structure in the desert. You should come there, you should meet my father, he's the local gym leader. And of course, you, as an avid Pokemon player, is prick up, and you're like, oh, gym leader, okay. So you go to the town, and you meet this gym leader, you meet this character's father. And this character is not super trusting of outsiders. There's kind of a very tribal community going on in this metal city, this little town. But you beat him in a Pokemon battle, you earn your first gym badge, and he goes, well, look, I don't know about any region below this one. As far as I'm concerned, there's the Great Southern Mountain Range, and that's it. But look, you should go and talk to the Pokemon professors of the region. They'll be able to help you out. They'll know what to make of all this. There's only one problem. The Pokemon lab is on the other side of the region, so you might as well skirt around a few places. Your first place that you're gonna want to go is Oasis Town. You can finally get out of all this kind of deserty vibe. It's much more relaxed there. There's actually some water there, there's some greenery. And so you make your way southwest, traveling across the map through a desert route, and then ultimately it gets a little bit more grassy, and we see a few more like Lotad and again more Cacnea, that kind of thing. A lot of Cacnea in this region, and you travel that way with your rival having a battle at the end of that, and you finally arrive in Oasis Town. In the distance there's a cutscene, and you can see a giant tower sprawling out, and your rival's like, yeah, that's the battle tower. That's where the most powerful trainers of the region all come to face off. I'm hoping one day I'm gonna be there because I want to become an incredibly powerful Pokemon trainer. You know, the people of Little Town, they heralded from a people who once wanted to take over the entire region. That's how power hungry they were, and they very nearly succeeded. In fact, I'm gonna go and explore the town, maybe find a library, see what I can find to learn about my ancestry. So your rival leaves you, and you are left to discover the city. And it might start to look a little bit familiar to some of you. Maybe some of you have already caught on. But it won't be until you get to the Pokemon gym you find confirmation. In the Pokemon gym, there is an old lady who is the gym leader. They claim to be the first gym leader of the region, and that this town, the Oasis Town, had the first ever Pokemon gym in this region. Back then, Oasis Town was known as Famak City. And suddenly, for those of you who know what I'm talking about, you've all clued on. That big tower that was out in the desert, that's Relgum Tower. Where you started, that was the old Team Singam base. Little Town must be the remain of that Cypher base, the one that was designed like a giant pyramid. What's north of the Great Mountain Range of my fake region is the Ore region. from Pokemon Colosseum and XD Gale of Darkness. I mean, come on, where else are you going to set a mature, nitty-gritty region, a mature Pokemon game? That is what is north of my Pokemon region. But your adventure has just started. You've had this reveal, and now you know you're in the Ore region, and you're discovering it as a conventional Pokemon RPG, traveling on routes rather than fast traveling like they do on that game by speeding over the desert. After battling this gym, the Grass Gym, you have 2 Pokemon badges, and the next stop for you, where you're going to be able to find some people of authority, that is going to be Pyrite Town, and that's where the next Pokemon gym is as well, and it's run by the Duke. The Duke, for those of you who don't know, is one of the big characters in Pokemon Colosseum, and I think these games are maybe set sort of 60-ish years in the future from XD Gale of Darkness. Ooh, hiccup. No, burp. That was definitely a burp. Anyway, you explore Pyrite Town, and just like in Colosseum and Gale of Darkness, they're having troubles. They're having troubles with the underground thugs. People of the region who just want to cause trouble. This town is, as it always was, a place that is bustling with crime. Your rival has joined you here, of course, and wants to learn more about it, and so they travel to the Under, which, for those of you who haven't played Pokemon Colosseum before, the Under is a location underneath Pyrite Town. That's where the next gym is. It's a Dark-type gym, and it's all underground. There's no evil team in this game. There's no one person that you can sort of point to and say, they're a bad guy. And I think that's going to help build some suspense. In fact, these characters that live in the Under, they, from their perspective, are not bad people at all. They're not some evil team, they actually feel quite looked down upon by the people of Pyrite Town. And the people of Pyrite Town view them as criminals. And because of that relationship, they then start up in crime. It's a very complicated cycle, but your rival can't help but respect the power of the people in this underground, for despite living underground, this gym leader, whomever that is, and you know, self-insert a new gym leader if you want, this gym leader is more powerful than the Duke ever is, even though the Duke is probably a fighting type gym leader, because I mean, look at the guy. And now, this far into the video, I've just realized that his name is Duking, not the Duke, I don't know, but for this game, he's known as the Duke. But yeah, Duking, he's probably a fighting type gym leader, and whoever lives in the Under, they are a dark type gym leader. Heck, maybe it could be like Mirror B's kid, and we could get some Mirror B action with some amazing music. Anyway, that's besides the point. You help the police sort out whatever the trouble is in Pyrite Town. I mean, maybe you don't fully resolve everything. Maybe those issues just can't be resolved by a single trainer, you know, coming in and just saving the day with a few Pokemon battles. Again, it's complex. It's a little bit deeper, and definitely very, very gritty. The next route is a surfing route, where you surf west and then north to the Gaeton port. This was a location not in Colosseum, it's in fact only in Gale of Darkness, and it's a kind of portside town where we're going to get a water-type gym, and it is your last stop before the Pokemon Lab, which is right on the west-hand side of the region. You head to the Pokemon Lab and you say, look, I've traveled across the whole region, I've got 5 gym badges, which is nuts. And you tell your story. I am from a region south of here, south of the great, you know, southern mountain range. I am the only person in maybe ever to have managed to survive crossing that desert. What do we do about that? And the researchers have a little think and they're like, you know, we don't really know. Like, sure, you're from another region, but so what? I'll tell you what, the best person to talk to is the Elder, who lives in Agate Village. It's just a little bit east of here, and it's a much more green, much more nice, relaxed place. Oh, also, before you leave the lab, why not have like a Croconaw or a Bayleaf or a Quilava? A nice little callback to Pokemon Colosseum. These are the starting Pokemon, or we give their pre-evolutions out to starting trainers in this region nowadays. But these 3 have evolved in our care, so feel free to pick one and add it to your team, which by now, you know, there's been a whole roster of Pokemon. I love the idea that like Cramorants live in the Gaeton port, that Maractus exists in some of the deserty sections. Perhaps in Pyrite Town there's a Gumshoos, which matches the police force, and then Alolan Raticate live in the Under. I like this idea. There's chances to incorporate new Pokemon into a region that hasn't been seen since Generation 3. And you make your way to Agate Village, and your rival has now popped up again. Your rival's been traveling alongside you, has 5 Pokemon badges, and definitely has some different philosophies to you. Whenever you battle, you can't help but feel like your rival feels like power is their birthright a little bit. And what's that about? And as you've been traveling through the region, you've been learning more about the Cypher organization and Team Singam. You've been learning about this organization that once had a grip on the entire region and even had a device capable of stealing other people's Pokemon. Now that device doesn't exist anymore apart from in the hands of one person, and that is the village elder in Agate Town. And who is the village elder? You might have been expecting this guy. This is Eugene, and he's the village elder in a Colosseum, but this is like 60 years on. So instead it's his granddaughter Rui and her partner Wes. The main protagonist of Pokemon Colosseum, of course, he's a little bit older, so is she, obviously, but they have many experiences with Team Singam. And I like the idea of them taking up this role, this peaceful life of sitting and relaxing in Agate Village. Plus, Rui is the granddaughter of Eugene and Eugene's wife. So you hang out in Agate Village, and this is where your rival takes the next step towards the dark side by stealing the Singam device. And they swear they're going to get the Singam device working again, and they're going to bring back the glory and the power that was Team Singam and Team Cypher. Remember, their hometown, Little Town, it is the remains of an old Cypher base. Speaking of which, that's where you're going next, to Big Town, another Cypher base that has been turned into a city. So now you're in direct pursuit of your rival, traveling across the Pokemon routes. You may only have 5 gym badges, but don't worry, you're about to get 2 more, because there's 2 more locations that are right next to each other. There's the old Team Cypher base from Pokemon Colosseum, and the boat from Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. Both of these have been renovated into kind of very mechanical towns, with one having an electric gym and the boat having an ice-type gym. Maybe it's particularly cold in the shade of the boat underneath the desert moon. I don't know. I was really struggling to think of a type, and we've already used water type at the gate and port. It doesn't matter. The point is, you pursue your rival through these places, and they're learning more and more secrets about Shadow Pokemon and how Shadow Pokemon are made. You have a few battles with them, but you never truly manage to stop them, and it's only once you have 7 gym badges, they say that they followed the breadcrumbs and they know where the true secrets of Shadow Pokemon lie. And if you want to stop them, you're gonna have to travel to the gate and port and catch an emergency boat out to Citadel Isle. The volcanic island that you visit at the end of Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. This is where a number of veteran Pokemon trainers are all training and battling. And actually your rival has managed to amass a small gathering of other criminals, and they're going to start up the new Team Singam. But of course, you're the main character and you're going to stop them. You're going to battle your rival, you're going to deal with whatever their evolution and their party is. Again, I haven't fully explored all of these ideas and how we're going to bring these things together, but yeah, you stop your rival and you take back the Snagger machine. And this time, when Wes and Rui show up, they wonder why they ever kept it. I mean, mostly for the plot convenience for this story, and they destroy it. Maybe you manage to talk your rival down from being so nuts. Maybe they swear that they're going to become even stronger than you and crush you in the Pokemon League. Or maybe you don't manage to talk them down, and instead they swear revenge. I don't know, choose whatever you feel is right for this story. I'm just trying to tell something here that I think could be interesting to the most amount of people. And look at you, you've got 7 gym badges and there is 1 gym left, the 8th gym. In the old Desert Colosseum at the south of the region, this isn't a place that you can actually visit in the story of Pokemon Colosseum. It's just sort of there and where your Wi-Fi battles and that, not your Wi-Fi battles, sorry, we didn't have Wi-Fi in those days. But some of the multiplayer battles can be held, but yeah, you go there and that is the final gym. And now you have your 8 badges, you can finally challenge the Pokemon League at Mount Battle. Welcome Tower, that's the Battle Tower, that's for the post-game. Mount Battle is now the Pokemon League. And again, I haven't thought too much about who the Pokemon Elite Four members should be, but given that we've already seen Wes and Rui, I think Michael should be the champion, surely. The champion of the Pokemon region, maybe even a champion who uses Lugia, given their story with Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. Anyway, once you've defeated the Pokemon League, you have a platform by which the whole region is watching, and you can finally say, hey, do you guys know there's a region below this one? And if you want to find out more about it, you should click the link at the top of the description and go and check out that video. Or, you know, we should all mount an expedition and get on boats and go and explore the region and introduce ourselves. And look, let's say that my new Pokemon region video, let's say that that was a real Pokemon game. If you did have any Pokemon in that, let's say you beat the Pokemon League in that game, it is at this point in the game, in the post game, that you'll be able to get those Pokemon back through some kind of data transfer. I don't know, it's a hypothetical game. Look, this is just what I want to see in a Pokemon Colosseum sequel. No, I'm just having fun with it. It's all made up anyway, but that is what I would like to see as a follow-up to my new Pokemon region. How a more mature Pokemon story would go. So something a little bit more aimed at the hardcore fans. Anyway, that's my story in Pokemon Colosseum's Ori region. I definitely think if you're gonna tell a more hardcore Pokemon story, that region is the one to go for. Plus, I think we all just want to see it again after such a long time. That said, maybe you have a different idea for the region, or maybe you absolutely hate my story and you feel like it's not fleshed out enough. Let me know your thoughts, of course, in the comment section. I'd love to flesh out this idea further. I'm glad to finally have it off my chest. What is north of that mountain range? It has been absolutely years and people are still asking me. Well, now you know. It's the Ore region. Thank you for watching this video, and of course, soar high, Pokemon Masters.
This is Ash Ketchum. You just watched a video by Birdkeeper Toby. That makes you a Pokemon Master.
And a massive thank you to those of you supporting me on Patreon right now, including the big patron of this month, Gunnar Clovis. Thank you, heroes.